trying to take that class. I'm just asking, if I'm a parent sitting out there going, well, you know, my son or daughter has struggled with one of the classes, is that an opportunity for them to try to kind of get, either maybe take it over the summer or take it even as a refreshment to maybe take it a second time in the fall at school to help me there?
Sure, absolutely, and
Well,
you might want to talk about the new.
Certainly. One of the large groups of students in Michigan that we serve are students that are in a credit recovery situation where they've, for one reason or another, weren't able to successfully complete a course, and we'll take Algebra 1, that's a tough one, and those kids need a second chance. And so we have a large group of kids who are taking it, you know, for that second opportunity so they can move forward. However, one of the things I think that the schools and we at the virtual school are very concerned about is not waiting until they've failed to address a problem, but to be proactive. And we just completed a series of courses that our design team, we have an in-house design team, created that are, I would describe as readiness courses. And they're designed to be taken between 8th grade and 9th grade. And we have two courses. One of them is called Numbers, and another one is called Read to Succeed. And both of those have a focus not only on elevating or increasing the students' readiness for algebra and English 9 and 9th grade, but to also stimulate or increase their interest. So instead of it, what I would, as an old math teacher, we'd call it drill and kill. You know, it wasn't page after page of problems. These are engaging courses. They're around exciting topics like music and travel and sports, and the applications of mathematics are woven into those different subjects. So we're working very hard with the schools to be proactive and approach it from a readiness rather than a recovery standpoint.
That's a great idea. So what kind of students are we getting taking these classes? Maybe there's a typical, maybe there's not. It's kind of wondering.
I would say from the building level, it's not typical. It can be the student that has failed a class and is trying to recover that content and that credit, or it can be the AP student that wants to take above and beyond what they've already had. So at least in our building, it's very widespread, and I would guess that's the same.
Yeah, I think we're starting to see a little bit of a shift in that historically we've served kids at both ends of the spectrum. Kids that have struggled, that need a second chance, a second opportunity, and then another group that's taking advantage of our 18 advanced placement courses or 7 world language courses. And so you have kids that are kind of both ends of the spectrum. But what we're seeing now, I think it's the impact of the merit curriculum, is we see kids better managing the sequence of courses that they're going to take over the 4 years. And all of our students, and including John's building, have an EDP, an individualized plan of what they're going to do over the 4 years, and you know, they identify goals, and so they have a much greater role in choosing what courses they take and when they take them.
Okay. So you take the class, and then so how do I get credit for doing what I've just done? How does that work?
The building actually issues the credit. So we will get a percentage from the Michigan Virtual School and the actual teacher that's teaching that course sent to us, and then we correlate that percentage to whatever our grading scale is, and actually we give the grade and then the credit for that, so it goes on their transcript from us as a credit.
So is that something the teacher has to do, or is it something more administrative? I'm curious how that works.
The teacher gives the percentage from Michigan Virtual School, and then our guidance office actually gets the credit on the transcript at that point.
Our courses have an embedded, highly qualified Michigan certified instructor, and they interact with students using a number of tools. And as John indicated, when they're done with the course, finish their final exam, much like you would in a face-to-face experience, that percentage grade is provided to the local school, and it's their responsibility to place it on a transcript and convert it to a letter grade. Can't graduate from the Michigan Virtual School. We don't offer diplomas. We don't offer the credit. You know, we're working in partnership with the local buildings to provide courses that their students need. So that's their job.
So collaboration between the two of you. That's
exactly.
That's wonderful. Kind of curious how many students might be enrolled. I guess that would be statewide,
Yeah.
and then how does that compare to since it started? Have we seen growth?
Right.
Has it been declining? What's the history here?
Well, the virtual school started in the year 2000, and that year, that predated my employment, but they began with a focus on advanced placement courses, primarily to districts who didn't have the staffing. As John indicated, sometimes it's economically not efficient to have a teacher for 2 or 3 or 4 kids each semester. Nobody can afford that. And so we chose to enter the market by providing a service that we felt was most wanted and needed, and that was advanced placement. In that first year, we had 100 students. And this year, we will pass the 15,000 student mark, and that's reflecting growth of about 30, maybe 35% annually over the last couple of years. And that also, interestingly enough, is fairly indicative of what other state virtual schools are seeing as well. This is clearly, even though Michigan is a leader and we're looked to help other districts develop policy and practice, they're experiencing rapid growth as well.
So how do you compare us nationally then? If we have whatever percentage, I'm not sure what that is, but how are we then doing compared to some of the national?
Yeah, sometimes those numbers are hard to track, but it's fairly well accepted that Florida Virtual is the giant. They serve over 100,000 students in the state of Florida. And then after Florida, we're very close to number 2 in size as well. And it depends on how you count the student experience. For example, if a kid logs in and all he does is do a ACT prep course, which may just take a matter of days, is that the same as taking a full course?
Right.
So counting it is sometimes a little bit difficult, but clearly we're in the top 2 or 3 in terms of enrollment nationwide.
So it's becoming more and more popular.
Oh, very much
the more
so.
folks find out about it. That's wonderful. You kind of mentioned it. Do teachers have to be certified in Michigan somehow in this process?
Yes, absolutely. We employ approximately 110 part-time teachers, most of whom are working in face-to-face classrooms around the state of Michigan and do this as a second job,
Okay.
something on the side. There's another fairly significant group of Michigan retired teachers who want a little greater flexibility. I have a teacher who lives in St. Martin and provides her instruction from her home there. I have another teacher and her husband who live on a sailboat. They sold their house, and she taught her classes this last year from Key West. And so, it's very attractive for teachers who have retired but still have the energy and the skills. And as you can imagine, they're a wonderful resource, 30, 40 years of experience, caring teachers, so that works out well for us.
That's great. The thought might be that the teachers, it's an easier job. Being a teacher with, virtually, I guess you would say. That sounds like a myth to me, but I'd like to hear what you think of that.
Well, I'm glad none of them are in here. They would love to react to that. I have never, in the over hundreds of teachers that I've spoken to, ever gotten the sense that it's an easier job. And I think one of the things that I'm most impressed with is the teacher, the profile of the teacher who comes to the online environment is not doing it for the money. Nobody's getting rich doing this, and they're making far less than they are in their regular job. They do it because they love kids and they care about kids, and that translates into them devoting many, many hours. One of the things we talk a lot about is that when you react to a student comment that's posted on a discussion board or a term paper that's been submitted, we require much more than an attaboy. We want them to provide the students with the same depth and quality of feedback that they're getting in their home schools.
Okay. For John, when are the courses offered then in Kent County that I know your school, but maybe in general, when people are watching this, it's going to be from the kind of Kent County area. Right. Is there some kind of limited time when they're doing this?